All right, welcome to another episode of the Freedom to Draw Unsolved Mysteries. I am your host, John, and this month is Stalker Awareness. So we're focusing on some of the world's most dangerous stalkers, the most infamous stalkers, which are the serial killers. Today's episode is a case of David Berkowitz. Now, he didn't have too long of a period of where he was killing people, but he scared the heck out of a lot of people in a short amount of time. And we're going to tell you a little bit about his case while we're drawing him. In 1977, on August 10th, the son of Sam, serial killer, was arrested. "24-year-old postal employee David Berkowitz is arrested and charged with being the son of Sam, the serial killer who terrorized New York City for more than a year, killing 6 young people and wounding 7 others with a .44 caliber revolver because Berkowitz generally targeted attractive young women with long brown hair. Hundreds of young women had their hair cut short and dyed blonde during the time he terrorized the city. Thousands more simply stayed home at night." He definitely was a stalker. And right there, that was his intended victims were the girls with brown hair and attractive. That was who he sought out and stalked. This guy is the definition of a stalker. I do have personal ties to this guy. We did live in New Jersey right at the same time this guy was killing attractive women with long brown hair, and amongst many other reasons, but this was one of the reasons why my family left New Jersey. This was one of the reasons. Just sickos like this guy. There was other reasons too. This wasn't the only one, but this was one of them. After his arrest, Berkowitz claimed that demons and a black Labrador retriever owned by a neighbor named Sam had ordered him to commit the killings. David Berkowitz was brought up by adoptive parents in the Bronx. He was traumatized by the death of his adoptive mother from cancer in 1967, and thereafter became more and more of a loner. In 1971, he joined the Army and served for 3 years, where he distinguished himself as a talented marksman. In 1974, he returned to New York and worked as a security guard. His mental condition began to severely deteriorate in 1975. He would later be diagnosed as a paranoid schizophrenic. This is inside the Son of Sam case. And feeling isolated from the world around him, he became an arsonist and set 100 fires in New York City without ever being arrested. He began to hear voices or demons that tormented him and told him to commit murder. On Christmas Eve 1975, he gave in to these internal voices and severely wounded 15-year-old Michelle Foreman with a hunting knife. In January 1976, he moved into a two-family home in Yonkers, a suburb of New York. Berkowitz became convinced that the German shepherd that lived in the house and other neighborhood dogs were possessed by demons who ordered him to murder attractive young women. One of the neighborhood dogs was shot during this time, most likely by Berkowitz. He also began to see his neighbors as demons. In April, Berkowitz moved to an apartment house in Yonkers, but his new home also had dogs. His neighbor, retiree Sam Carr, had a black Labrador retriever named Harvey, who Berkowitz believed pleaded with him to kill. He also saw Sam Carr as a powerful demon and was referring to him when he later called himself the son of Sam. Did this guy make all this stuff up in his head, or did he have help? There are conspiracy theorists that say that he was just the tip of the iceberg, and that the Son of Sam killers were a team of multiple madmen. There is a documentary on Netflix. It's pretty interesting, but I digress about that. On July 28, 1976, Berkowitz quit his job as a security guard. Early the next morning, he walked up to a parked car in the Bronx where two young women were talking and fired 5 bullets from his .44 caliber revolver. He did have a motive of the people that he did stalk. They had to look a certain way to him. And that was his stalking method. If he got a feeling about them, he would go and commit the act of murder on them, which is very scary. He fired the .44 revolver into the vehicle. An 18-year-old Donna Loria was killed instantly, and her friend Jody Valenti was wounded. Police could find no motives or leads in the shooting. In the early morning of October 24th, Berkowitz struck again, critically wounding 20-year-old Carl DeNaro as he sat in a car and talked with a female friend in Queens. A little more than a month later, on November 26th, 16-year-old Donna DeMacy and 18-year-old Joanne Lamino were shot and seriously wounded in the street on their way home from a movie. He didn't need much of qualifications for him murdering you. That's what's so scary about the Son of Sam. But he did have a target. Young women talking with their boyfriends or talking with their other young women friends. On January 30th, 1977, Berkowitz fatally shot Christine Freund as she sat in a car in Queens with her fiance. Police began to suspect that these crimes were perpetrated by a single killer, but few bullets were found intact to confirm the assumption. On March 8th, 19-year-old college student Virginia Vosker-Cheyenne. That's a tough one to pronounce. Virginia V, we'll call her, was shot to death as she walked home in Manhattan. A bullet was found intact, and it matched a bullet found at the scene of Berkowitz's first murder. The New York police announced that a serial killer was on the loose, known to be as a white male in his 20s, with black hair and of average height and build. A large group of detectives was organized, the Omega Task Force, to track down this killer. On April 17th, 18-year-old Valentina Soriani and 20-year-old Alexander Eseo was shot and killed by the same gun as they kissed in their parked car near Hutchinson River Parkway. This time, the .44 caliber killer left a note in which he referred to himself as the Son of Sam. Now you can see a lot of the Zodiac killer in the Son of Sam. Could he have been a protege from afar of this guy, Zodiac? He probably didn't know him personally, but he was familiar with his work. As you can see, all the notes and coming up on people when they're in their cars. Zodiac did that. Zodiac did that a lot. So, could this guy have been a guy who studied the work and liked the work of the Zodiac killer? And he might have been intrigued by this Zodiac because Zodiac has still never been caught. And there really isn't a definite picture of what he looks like. So that is probably the most fundamental reason why I have not done a show on him. Never been caught. The guy, nobody knows what he looks like. It's only sketches of him. And I don't know. I don't know if it's really a good thing to draw a sketch of a sketch. Kind of seems redundant. But if you do want to see a Zodiac show, you can always tell me, and I will do a Zodiac show from what I can gather. But back to Berkowitz, he had the same kind of tendencies as the Zodiac. On April 29th, Berkowitz shot Sam Carr's Labrador Retriever. He had previously sent an anonymous threatening letter to Mr. Carr concerning the animal. The dog recovered, and the Yonkers police began an investigation. Meanwhile, Berkowitz began sending bizarre letters to other neighbors and his former landlords. These individuals began to suspect Berkowitz to be the Son of Sam and reported their suspicions to the local police. The Omega Task Force was subsequently notified, but the detectives had received thousands of reports on the Son of Sam suspects and were having a difficult time sifting through all the dead-end leads. On June 26th, Son of Sam struck again. Wounding Judy Placido and Sal Lupo as they sat in the car after leaving a Queen's disco. Public concern on the rampaging serial killer grew to panic proportions, and New York nightclubs and restaurants saw a dramatic drop in business. He did terrorize the city. A blistering heat wave and a 25-hour blackout in mid-July only increased the tensions on July 31st, just 2 days after the anniversary of his first killing. Berkowitz shot a young couple kissing in a parked car in Brooklyn. 20-year-old Stacy Moskowitz was fatally wounded, and her boyfriend, Bobby Violante, lost his left eye and nearly all the vision in his right eye. A few days later, a major break came in the case when an eyewitness came forward to report that she had seen a man with what looked like a gun minutes before the shots were fired in Brooklyn. Her information led to the first police sketch of Berkowitz. More important, she reminded investigators that 2 police officers had been writing parking tickets on her street that night. A search of tickets issued eventually turned up on Berkowitz's car. At the same time, Yonkers police investigated Berkowitz after he escalated a harassment campaign against one of his neighbors. It is strange that a parking violation led to the arrest of this seemingly really elusive killer. He was outwitting the cops, and he gets arrested on a parking violation. Convinced he was the son of Sam, they informed the Omega Task Force of their finding. The Omega detectives finally put 2 and 2 together, and on August 10th, David Berkowitz was arrested while leaving his Yonkers home. He gleefully admitted to being the son of Sam. On his person was a semi-automatic rifle, and he explained he was on his way to commit another murder. The .44 caliber revolver was also recovered. There was some question about whether Berkowitz was mentally fit to stand trial, but on May 8, 1978, he withdrew his insanity plea. His insanity defense, and pleaded guilty to the 6 murders. Berkowitz, in fact, appeared to enjoy the media attention his case was receiving, and he proceeded to sell his exclusive story rights to a publishing house. It promoted New York State to adopt the first in a nationwide series of so-called Son of Sam in-laws that take proceeds a criminal earns from selling their story and give them to the victims' compensation fund. Berkowitz was given 6 25-year to life sentences. for his crime, the maximum penalty allowed at that time. He has since been denied parole. He is currently held at the Gunk Correctional Facility in upstate New York, where he allegedly converted to Christianity. Now, I have met people that work at that correctional facility, and multiple people have told me that he is a model inmate, never causes any problems. When the guards get assigned to watching Berkowitz, they perceive it as an easy day. And this is quite surprising. These are, first-hand accounts of people that I've met. Because his correctional facility is not that far from where I'm at. And so, yeah, I've met first-hand accounts, people that guard him. And they all say he's no problem. And he's living a real healthy life. Well, that does it for this case, guys. This is what a real sick and demented stalker looks like. Did he act alone on his murderous rampage that year in New York, where he terrorized the whole city for a little bit more than a year? Was he alone? That's the mystery. We are not sure. There's been a lot of controversy regarding that, if he acted alone. But yeah, this is the case of David Berkowitz. True believers, peace out.